policies and your leaders that come up with economic policies. Usually a good leader comes up with a great economic policy. It doesn't matter who you are. I know that in my when I ran in 2010 for governor of the state of Wisconsin, my economic policy was real simple. We're going to help each other develop and grow. We're going to work it as a team. Team-type leadership. In other words, the person at the top of the ladder is going to have to help the person at the bottom of the ladder. Once that person at the bottom ladder grows to a certain level of good economic policy, then they should help out the next one down below, and vice versa. Make it into a team. It works beautifully. It could work even in industry. By the way, when you want your CEOs to grow and develop, that's what you do. You help the guy at the bottom, the guy that makes the least amount, that has to do all the work. The CEO should be down there helping that person. That makes a good leader, a great leader to understand these things. Not everything's going to work perfectly like that, and I realize that. But the thing of it is, when you got Marxism, take a look at your communist leaders throughout the world. Kim Jong-un, he's a Marxist. He believes in Marxism. Look at what he does. If you don't follow his policy, he just eliminates you. We'll take a look at the Chinese government itself. No, I can't pronounce the Chinese leader too well, so I just leave it alone. But the thing of it is, the economic policy is you follow his word, and that's it. And that's all there is. You take a look at, England has a socialist type of a government. You got a prime minister and you got a queen. Really, the prime minister is the one that determines economic policy there. So that is based on the same as Mussolini, the father of fascism. It's the same thing. Look at your prime minister up in Canada. They got an economic policy of passing the buck. So we got to look at these other things too when we talk about Hillary Clinton is doing what Marxists would do with economics, pass the buck. That sounds to me like she wants to not take responsibility. She doesn't want to be held accountable for anything. We see this in her whole life here. The Clinton clan, the whole Clinton clan, really is based on one thing: not having any integrity. Marxism does not develop integrity. Marxism develops the opposite of integrity. Here's another part of the economic policy that's not good for America. I know people look at me and say that what does this have to do with economic policy? Well, here's the one thing that does have a problem with our economic policy here in the United States of America. And Hillary Clinton promotes this idea. Yes, we could say that with Hillary Clinton, you're going to have the economic policy and domestic policy of transgender. Or, I hate just saying transgender. Let's put it in good perspective. The phony claim of being a transgender person. You notice it said phony claim because it's not truth. But she wants to have everybody in industry live in life and say you got one choice: to make one bathroom for everybody to go into, one locker room for everybody to go into, or have separate bathrooms for I've said it best before too, the phony claiming transgendered people. She wants to have that as part of the economic policy because that's part of domestic policy. That she says that these people are real, which they're not, because they don't transgender cannot exist. It's a proven fact. I'd like to see a site that comes up and proves it, but so far none. I've had a couple of people argue a few things, and I'm going to say they did a good job. But anyways, when you have economic policy where you're forced to do something against your will, and you have to build a separate transgendered bathroom to allow them in and to put up special changing rooms and special ideas and to be tolerant to that stuff, that's where tolerance is wrong. And if you heard me say it before, the claim, something that you are not, transgender is not. Nobody could be born in the wrong body. But when you have a policy like that, forcing people across America to have to change and to put up different things so that you satisfy less than 0.003% of the people, that's a pretty pathetic economic policy that forces people to spend more money, that raises taxes, because in order to fix the problems or fix these things, you're going to have to build special locker rooms, you're going to have to build special bathrooms, you're going to have to build special changing rooms. Yes, I understand Target's already done that, and Target is spent quite a little bit of money doing it. But in that event, that's a piss poor economic policy, and say, well, we're just going to give in to them, and that's it. Give in to communism, give in to Marxism, and say that's it. That's the economic policy that's going to happen from Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders has the same thing. So we already know. In other words, Hillary Clinton, with her economic policy, would be the same as Obama. There is none. That's why Obama's considered one of the weakest leaders in the United States of America. And that's why Obama is like Mussolini, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong, Kim Jong-un, Fidel Castro. I can name even a couple more. So we could keep going there. Matter of fact, we could even go as far back to say it's the same economic policy as Napoleon or anybody like that. So when you look at economic policy, what are you looking at here? When you say Hillary Clinton doesn't have any clue or idea, that's a piss poor leader. That's a leader in a blue pantsuit that wants to become president. See, the other problem with her economic policy deals with foreign policy. Foreign policy is made up of quite a few things. It's made up on your military force, which is one thing, part of the economics there. It also is in tariffs. How are you going to handle that? How are you going to ease tensions in the world? See, in a lot of cases, you got to be forceful in what you do. You got to put sanctions out there on countries that decide they want to destroy you. You got to force them to pay for and higher cost. You got to put that cost onto those countries. Such as here's a good example where you got to put a good high tariff on. You got to put a very high tariff on China. You got to make China pay through the nose for transporting goods over here. Because one thing, they want to become wealthy, they're going to have to pay for it. That makes the products made here in the United States of America cheaper. That's how tough foreign policy's got to be. It's not just the size of your army, but the way that you handle goods and services that are brought over here from other countries. You got to put those tariffs up really high. So high that they can't afford to even do business here, and that forces people here in America to come up with those goods and services and do them here at a cheaper cost. That's economic policy. As you can see, even when I ran for governor of the great state of Wisconsin, I was looking at how, on a foreign policy based on how we're going to deal with other states. Yes, in a lot of cases, I was very much in favor of things here in the state of Wisconsin. Such as an example, if you wanted to build, if Minnesota had something and they wanted to import it here in the state of Wisconsin, I would have looked and said, okay, you could do that, but you're going to have to pay a separate type, and it's going to cost you more. Because we're going to raise funds, or not raise funds, but it's going to cost you more to send your product over here. I don't know what I would have really done, but I would have came up with something and suggested it and see if we could get some legislation through and go for that. Like I said, I can admit that I'm really not sure what I really would have done, but I know exactly what I would like to do. For example, California was trying to sell their milk here. Well, you make California milk higher here, it'll sour. And you promote good dairy industry here in the state of Wisconsin. Make it cheaper. Make it so that it's affordable, and make it so that the farmer can make a decent income. You look at tough. Yes, it's not a real foreign policy, but you can get the point. The point is, when you look at passing the buck off to her husband, who was the worst economics and had one of the worst foreign policies and domestic policies ever, with one exception, Obama. Obama had no foreign policy and he had no economic policy. Just looked good. Of course, with Bill Clinton, it's stupid is in his corner, and non-intelligence. No integrity, no honor, no responsibility. Just pass the buck. That's Hillary Clinton for you. Well, anyways, we're getting close to the end of the program, and I've actually been enjoying telling you people about these little things. And these things that could hurt America, such as this phony idea of transgender, because it's going to hurt economics. And it's going to hurt a lot of other stuff. Well, anyways, let's talk about one thing. I know I got believers here that listen to my program, and also got non-believers alike. Let's say it this much. If you do not believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior, now's your chance to absolutely look everything up and decide it. Matter of fact, here's one thing I'm going to make a challenge to you. And I really make a challenge. Show me why you don't believe. You know what I'm going to say to you? Good. I like to hear from you. I'd like to know why. Because that makes it easier for me to say, okay, you don't accept truth. That's fine. That's your economic policy. And for those who do believe, hallelujah, glory be to God. Now let's end this program this way. And to both believer and non-believer alike, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you. May the Lord give you peace. And may the Lord onto you, and the peace